evening, everyone. My name is Neil Krebs, if you don't know me, and I'm in charge of the Indiana operation, like Charlie is in Ohio, so it's Indiana Broadband and Telecommunications Association, formerly the Telephone Association in Indiana. I would like to introduce our next speaker. It'll be Randall of Atmail. He's the Executive Vice President, and the topic we'll be hearing this morning is the Email Wars, Episode 3, Return of the Telephone.
G'day. I'm from just a little bit south of here, but nothing a long, terrible plane flight can't fix. Today I want to talk about email, one of the oldest technologies that most of you are probably still offering your consumers today. Email's been around in the carrier space for about 30 years. And how do we actually look at email through a different lens? How do we look at email through the three lenses that everybody in this room should be interested in? How can you use email to help you find a new customer? How can you use it to increase your average revenue per customer? And how can you make sure nobody ever leaves you? The three key business principles that everybody's trying to achieve. You may have heard the music there a minute ago. Is anybody from Disney in the audience? No? All right, we're good to go then. So I hope I've got everybody's attention and we're all looking up now. That's obviously my genuine IP, it's not from Disney at all. So we're going to try and cover 30 years of emails and email history in 30 minutes or less. And we'll try and keep it as entertaining as we can. So what did episode 1 look like? Well, it was carrier-dominated email. The first email address I had was with my 56K dial-up connection. You got it from a carrier. It's the only place I knew of to get an email connection. Who's still got one of those connections? They're long lasting. Unfortunately, episode 2 came along and the arrival of the likes of Yahoo, shortly followed by Hotmail, which became MSN's Hotmail and now becomes Outlook.com, and now the new kid on the block of Gmail. So the independence and the breaking away from the connection and the email account started to occur. So what we're going to focus on today is there an episode 3? Is there an opportunity for you as a telco to regain that once dominant position? So we're going to talk about 3 clever commercialisation mechanisms through purchase integrations and in-app transactions, through how you can promote your services and goods, through personalisation and how you can get even closer to your customers, and privacy, something that's on the lips of many of our customers today. So the first insight that we have here is that the world has changed. Everybody in this room has faced this at some point. You go to back up your phone, you go to add a photo to a library or something, and the computer says no and says, you just need to give me 99 cents or $1.49 or $2.99 or something before you can do that activity. Our customers are ready for this to happen to them. So if we take this example of an in-app purchase integration and we look at it across the email lens, when we look at data across the email landscape, we find that 1 out of 5 people use quite a bit more storage on their email account than others, and then 1 out of 20 people actually use a lot more storage than the others on your platform. Whether you're giving someone a couple of megabytes, and the example that I'll use is a company in Hong Kong, which on their webpage today, still in 2023, when you log into their webmail offering, offers you a very generous 8 megabytes of storage for your email. That's a fantastic offering, isn't it? Or we can move right up to Yahoo, offer you 1 terabyte. The key insight here is it doesn't matter how much you offer, that you should actually have tiers on offer. So we need to obviously notify the customer that something's going to happen, to say, hey, you're about to run out of storage in this example. We can notify them inside an email client and get it to go Bing, whether they're using Outlook or something like that, or Firefox, or inside a webmail is obviously easy. But the real key to the success here is to actually then integrate that to your billing platform. So there's a bunch of billing platform logos up there, and it doesn't really matter what it is, but not asking the person for a credit card because you've already got it. Just say yes. I'll throw $1 on your bill, I'll throw $2 on your bill, and we're done. We then need to change the email service to say this consumer now has more storage again, whatever that number is, and then obviously close the loop. So a very simple transaction. It doesn't have to be limited to storage. It can be other functions that you might want to put, like IMAP access, so they can access it from a client, or multiple signatures, or forward rules, or calendars, or different theming. The list goes on and on and on. But an in-app transaction process is what you should be looking to do with your email, rather than one size fits all. So when we sum this one up, we look at that customers have actually been well educated over the last few years, that setting the purchase thresholds to suit your customers. So we just heard about the affordability connectivity program and things like that. So perhaps based on the region, based on their connection type, based on how long they've been with you, you can start to set different parameters to meet your business needs. Obviously the in-app notifications are what make it all work, and the one-click billing is the integration. So back to our 3 key promises at the start, just implementing something as simple as this can take your email service to a profit uplift to start to cover the cost of the email, and obviously then making some money of it. So that's number 1. Number 2 is promotion, and this one gets a little bit interesting. So these are the time stealers of today. Obviously we need to update the blue bird's gone now, it's turned into a black X. If I could get my kids to just do 19 minutes a day of YouTube, I'd be so happy. Like, that'd be awesome. Like, if I could get it under 19 hours a day, I think it'd be a better outcome for that one. Now I have an awesome prize here for someone who wants to come up with a number. It's a caramello koala from Australia. How long do people spend in email on average per day? 3 hours. 3 hours, no, lower. Lower, come on, pick a number. An hour, lower.
30 minutes.
No, higher. 34 is the answer, and there you go, you can have that one. We'll move on. So the question then that you should actually be thinking about is, if my customers on my email service spend half an hour a day there, and I can talk to them for half an hour a day, what would I say to them? How would I change my narrative of what I'm marketing to them? So we obviously all watch the Super Bowl, and some people only watch the Super Bowl for one reason, for the commercials. So what do the advertisers do through the Super Bowl? Is they don't do the same ad every time. They set up a story, a narrative, because they know you're coming back the next time. So the first bit, you don't know who it is. Second bit, you might be thinking, oh, it's Honda that's advertising that one. And the third bit is, here is the solution, and so on and so forth. So if we use Promotion Zone in a similar sort of way, or promotions, what we saw happen in the email industry was this: flights, vitamins, scooters, a whole bunch of stuff that was nothing to do with you as a telco. When we went and surveyed a whole bunch of people, they said, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to put general advertising in front of our customers. So don't. Make it all about you. Put your marketing messages, your promotional stories, and things that you want to put in front of there, whether you're trying to promote the affordability connectivity program, whether you're trying to promote an upgrade to a Calix managed Wi-Fi system or something like that. There's a whole bunch of services that you can start to put in front of your customers through the webmail interface, knowing that they come back every day. So you might be trying to promote over-the-top streaming services, you might be trying to promote additional hardware purchases. You might be trying to upsell people off the consumer platform and onto a business platform as needed. The interesting part about when you start putting promotions in front of there is you'll get a small percentage of people who want to remove that. There's a commercialisation opportunity. You can say, look, hey, I'm happy to remove that. I'm just going to add another $1 to your bill. And you won't see those promotions anymore. So what we put on, we can actually make money on by turning off as well. There's a lot of space here to make money. When you have to turn off the ads on Outlook.com, you need to go beyond $5 a month. You need to get to the 365 suite. Same with Google and so on and so forth. So there's a big opportunity there to actually have some promotions on and then remove them and actually make some money as well. The second part of Update Zone is what we like to call networks, a promotion zone is Update Zone. And this is where I want to tell people about things that are happening. We've just released fibre to the premise in your area, or a fibre upgrade. We've got a new special running, something like, or there's an outage coming up. Or perhaps down the bottom there you can see it says, cyber security awareness. What are the things we want to tell our customers, not perhaps sell to our customers? Once again, knowing that they come back. On average, our data tells us that 26 times a month is the average login, so it's not quite once a day, and it is that 34 minutes a day. So another use for this, and a carrier out of Denver actually gave me this one that they're actually doing today, was to look at how we actually use an update zone from within webmail to notify people that the bill is perhaps coming in a few days' time, to put it in the top of their email queue to say your bill is now due, and then to actually block the account when the bill is overdue. So I haven't turned off their broadband connection. I haven't run foul of the FCC and knocking out the connection, and then someone had some medical equipment connected to it and so on and so forth. I've just paused their email account until they pay their bill. And the third part of this one is my personal favourite here, is this happens to me every day. It'll happen tomorrow when I check out of the Hilton. Can I have a few minutes of your time? It happens when I finish the Uber, or probably the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame tonight. Like, it just is ongoing. It's relentless. It's all met with the same answer. It's all a delete key. I don't engage with any of it. But if we go back to that premise that we know that they're coming back every day, and we just were to ask them one question. Does anybody play Wordle? Yeah? What's Wordle's success? It's that you can only play it once a day. They don't rope you into wasting hours of your day on it, and then you end up hating yourself and hating Wordle and whatever else. So don't rope your customers into, oh, look, I'll give you an iTunes gift voucher if you give me 10 minutes of your time. Nobody wants to do that. But if I just asked them one question and then said thanks, on the knowledge that they were coming back tomorrow, I can ask them another question. So think about the 1,000 questions you want to ask your customers, queue them up, and fire when ready. It might take you a couple of years, but you will get a much higher return rate than the traditional survey approach. So promotion zone, wrapping this one up, is that they come back every day. Why do they come back every day? They don't come back to your website every day because there's nothing there for them. They don't come to their billing portal every day. There's nothing there for them. They come to their email every day because it's their email. You have an opportunity to connect with and talk with your customers every single day. The one I want to talk about there is the data integration, taking it to the next level. If you know that the person buys an iPhone every 18 months, what can I do at 18 months? I can sell that space to Samsung if I wanted to. I could sell it to Apple. I could promote whatever it is. If I know that I've detected gaming traffic on that connection now, so we're using Calix Marketing Cloud, we've done some research, we've identified gaming traffic, could I put a message in front of those people to say, frames win games, would you like to upgrade to the faster plan, fibre, reduced ping, all of those sort of good messages. Class of service is what obviously makes this work, where we can start to group our customers into regional, into plan type, so on and so forth. Number 3 on the agenda is how do we get personal? How do we make a better connection with more people, which is what every business is trying to do. So this one here is a subway map. There's a bonus caramello koala if anybody can guess the subway map. I'd be very surprised if anybody got this one. It's Singapore, so yeah. So we've all gone through life with many different email accounts. I thought coolguy4567 at Hotmail would be the last ever email address I'd ever need. That was going to be the one that did it for me, but obviously it wasn't. How do we know when we've arrived at the last stop? How do we know when we've got our last email address? Well, it's us. It's personal. It's John up in the top right corner there. It's Yung Tai from Singapore, funnily enough, and Dan and myself. We all share the same family name. We all share the same last name. We're all part of the same family unit. So until you've arrived at your last stop, can I get a show of hands who has arrived? Who's got their own personal domain for their email? 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5, no, hardly anybody, right? I've got my own last domain. I thought I had the last one. It was the camerons.net.au, being Australia, but then they released the .au space just last year. So I now have camfam.au as well, aliasing over the top of that. It's too technical, too hard. So when I was researching this one, I had to go and find Pete Crazy. And it won't be any surprise, but Pete Crazy is always in Hollywood. It's always in California. So the rub here is that the Hollywood elite naming their children and getting a digital identity for them, the domain name, or even worse, naming their children after a domain name they could secure. Right, so her name was Clarice, but I had to spell it with an F or a silent, whatever. A little bit like Elon and his crazy kids' names that he's got going on, right? So where there's vanity, there's money. We've now moved from nobody actually needs this, but everybody wants this. And the greater the want, the greater the price tag. So the vanity of your own personal email address, as people start to digitally mature, becomes increasingly high. So what we're looking at here is that we've taken promotion zone, we've taken a login, we've taken a piece of information. In this case, we've used Dan Viney, who runs our product team, and we've said we've gone and looked up that Viney.sg, the example here is for Singtel in Singapore, is available. Dan, would you like that? Because we know Dan's logged in, we know Viney.sg is available, and Dan says, yeah, well, that sounds like a good idea. He clicks on a button and it says, well, yeah, do you want one account? Do you want a few for the family? And that's it, it's done. Because the email's already set up. It's already on his phone, it's already on his laptop, it's already on his tablet. It's already part of that carrier platform underneath, and we just pop this on top. So no technical setup, one click, we're all done. How's that possible? Multi-tenancy is something that's come along in the last few years which makes this possible. So previously we would have had to set up a new email server for each person. I don't think anybody in this room wants to run a few hundred or a few thousand email servers and patch them and maintain them, unless anybody's got Hillary as a customer or something like that. But apart from that, multi-tenancy allows that one to happen. We need to have a white label DNS service so that we can serve up those domain names. So whether you bring your own or whether you purchase a separate one, so that we can actually offer the domain space of lots of different offers. And once again, back to this recurring theme of how can we do this in one click? Why did only a few people put their hands up for having their own email service? Because it's too hard. There's a lot of technical to get it going. Who's seen joesplumbing.com drive past and then the email address is joesplumbing@gmail.com? Because it was too hard. They managed to get to Squarespace or Wix or GoDaddy and build a website, but then it got to email and it was like, oh, that's too hard. I'll just grab a Gmail address. So how do we make that easy for our customers? So this one has the triple play here of, this is about then attracting customers to your service to say, I'd actually like one of those, that'd be a great idea. I'm sick of renting. I'm renting from Gmail. I'm renting from Outlook. I'm even renting from your domain. It's nothing to do with me. How do we get our customers to the last stop? Once they're at the last stop, how do we keep them forever? For generations. So my email address now is used, our family one, by my 3 children. If where's a bit of wood? If I don't make it back to Australia on the Qantas plane and I die in a fiery ball of death, they're going to keep paying for that because they're now invested in that. They're now part of that ecosystem. So digital identity in your email account is actually something that nobody in this room can survive without. How could you come to this event without an email address? Have a think about that. Could you have booked a flight? Could you have booked a hotel? Could you have booked the event? You can survive without Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, eBay, YouTube, all of those, despite unpopular belief that you can't. Life will go on without them. Without an email address, you're actually in a bit of trouble. The life today is all centred around that email address. That's personal. And then the last one is around privacy. So privacy has 2 viewpoints. One that you have, which is that you want to make sure that you're not losing your customers' information. So if your email service is perhaps not as secure as it should be because it hasn't been looked after as well as it should be, and then suddenly you're on the front page of your local paper because you leaked out all of your customers' data. If I wanted to take anybody out in this room, the number one target is your email account. If I can get to your email account, I can take over your life. That is the keys. That is the important factor here. Everything else doesn't matter. If you can get to the email account, it is there. So you need a regulatory compliance meet and a data loss. Customers actually just want the bad guys gone, and they want to be a bit more private. So how do I keep the Nigerian prints out of my inbox? And how do I keep the one-time banking code that I just signed up for yesterday that I've never received an email from in my inbox? So privacy is all a matter of perception. This is how I perceive the world to be. Can anybody disprove that? Well, we've seen maps forever that's the wrong way up, but everybody has a different perception on privacy. When we talk to people, and Cisco did this survey, everybody's worried about it. 84% of people are worried about privacy. Who goes and does anything? Who goes and implements 1Pass and a different password for every account and puts on two-factor authentication on every account? A couple of people going, yes, yes, yes. Who else has done it? The vast majority of this room have not. Right? Everybody talks about it. Not many people actually do it. It's a perception problem. So privacy, some of the things that we can look at is how do we keep, does anybody know what the blue guy on the far left there is? Anybody know? It is the Facebook tracking pixel icon. So they actually market it and advertise it. So you can drop that into your email, and then when they're back on Facebook later on, I've made those two connections. And I can start promoting that service again and retargeting those people. How do we have a service where we say, look, we can make sure that's turned off so that the person gets an option when they open that email to say, would you like to let the people know that the Facebook tracking pixel is turned on or off or whatever. Encryption is obviously becoming an increasing topic, and has your password been breached on the dark web somewhere else? So once again, if getting to your email account is the most prized possession for the hackers, and that same password, because I thought up password 123, but it's okay, I spelled password with 2 5s in the middle, not S's. Nobody will be able to crack that one. If you're reusing that and then your information's been hacked by somebody else, you're in a bit of trouble. So how do we notify our customers that login needs to be changed? The one that's growing in popularity pretty significantly is driven by Apple as the privacy-first company that they are, which is to hide your email. Has anybody used a hide your email service yet? Yeah, we've got the same people at the back of the room. So this is where it creates a dynamic address on the fly. So you go to sign up for Hilton, and you don't give them your email address, you give them Hilton at whatever. So you create an actually aliased email address for every single service you sign up to. So then when, was it the Marriott that lost everybody's address a while back? When they lose that, it's not connected to you because you've reused the same password, but you've used a different email address for every single service you've signed up for. So making that simple and smooth as a process. And Firefox are jumping into that one as well. Spam's obviously another big thing. Now I learnt this one only, was it yesterday, the day before, when I was just over near Fargo. I don't even know what state I was in anyway. That spam comes from up this way. That you guys actually invented spam, so I didn't know that. That's cool. But the spam that we're talking about is obviously the technology one. How do we have a team of people to making sure that we're getting rid of it? And as I said before, how do we keep the bad guys out, the good messages in? It's an ongoing war. Why do people leave email services? Why is Gmail the number one service in the world? They do a good job on spam. Why did Hotmail lose their advantage they had early on? They did a poor job on spam. You have to do a good job on spam. You have to keep that under control. 90% of all email is spam. Just think about that for a minute. 90% of all email is spam. The spam that you see in your spam folder represents about 1% of what we see every day. That's what you get annoyed about, the 1%. The 99% that's already been removed is actually the big problem. It's actually a fundamentally broken system. So, summing this one up. Digital maturity is driving the market. If you just joined the internet 3 weeks ago in the Philippines, would you care about digital maturity and privacy? Like, you don't have any. It's okay. The Nigerian prince is going to send me some money next week. And I also forwarded on that email that Bill Gates sent me that said if I send this on to 10 friends, Netscape were going to pay me some money as well. That's still happening to someone today. So people's digital maturity changes as they go through life. Bundling this up as part of plans, as part of expensive plans. So if you jump on my $99 offering, I'm going to give you all of these additional services. so on and so forth. You've got a trust and a billing and a support advantage. People will like to buy from local providers rather than national providers to make that happen. So that's our 4 commercialisation options for today around email, to take a different, fresh look at, should email be a cost centre to the business, should it actually be a profit? So this is what the road for a telco looks like. Notice the theme, make it go faster. So every conference you've been to for the last 20 years has been about, make it go faster. We can make more money if we can make it go faster. We need to, and it seems to be a game that we're forever chasing. If we perhaps turn around, have a look in the revision mirror at a product that you might already still be offering, you might have decided to sunset it. Has anybody in this room actually turned off their consumer email platform? No, everybody, and so most of you are still running one then. It's an opportunity to actually reinvigorate. So telco and ISP email services are traditionally on-premise today. Most people run them in a data centre. They're mostly offered for free, generally offered as one size fits all. Everybody gets the green interface, the blue interface, the 1 gig of storage, the standard offer. Lagging behind in the customer experience when we can compare it to an Outlook.com as an example, and consider the cost of the business. So if you've identified all of those as being you, we need to turn all of those around. So what do we do to turn all of those around? When we go into battle here for return of the telco, and we need to bring down the Death Star, which may or may not have a G in the middle of it there because they represent about 1.2 billion email accounts across the planet today. We've got a big task in front of us. So you need to get your service to a cloud, scalable, manageable, updatable service that you can be proud of. Something you say, I'm proud to offer this service. This is a good, modern, secure, accessible platform, not something that Fred looked after on the weekends and we haven't updated in 5 years or longer in some cases. Integrated to the billing platform. If you don't integrate it to the billing platform, you can never make any money out of this thing. You need to plug it into your billing system. Implementing class of service and multi-tenant allows us to slice and dice it, so we can start to think about how we can individualise offers to different people. Lean forward, invest in it. It's not going anywhere. A couple of years ago, the CEO of Slack stood up at a conference in Vegas and said, I haven't opened email in a month. Does anybody believe that statement? How did he get to Vegas? How did he book his hotel? Like, he's probably got a PA doing it, but it's all on email, right? Like, you can't send your invoice. Does anybody send invoices to Slack here? Like, you know, to you can shoot, like, it's a silly statement. Email's not going anywhere. It's actually becoming more important. Email is still growing. The carrier share of email is declining. That's what this is all about. So longer term, it is the digital identity. It is the keys to the castle. It is the golden key that actually makes all of this work. So that's the end of me. So the next episode from there that follows on, which we'll have to wait for next year, hopefully aeroplanes go faster by then, is the new digital hope, which is around how does email actually become your digital identity. How did I go for time on that one? I did all right. So I've got one more for you, which has nothing to do with email, but has to do with last night. So I went to my first baseball game there last night, which I thought was interesting, but perhaps not that exciting at 1-0. I nearly caught the ball. It sort of came our way broadly. So I'd like to show you a 5-minute video on what the game is rather than baseball, because you're into NFL, that's okay. Baseball, that's okay. Hockey, that's okay. This is the game that really makes it work.
It's unlike any other game in the world.
Buddy Franklin onto the scene. Franklin, this is Buddy Franklin!
Otherwise known as Aussie Rules, AFL or footy, Australian football is chock-a-block full of non-stop action, athleticism, hard hits, and heart-stopping moments.
Seed from the boundary. Needs to be inch perfect.
This is Australia's game.
Not even kidding. The Professional Men's League, the AFL, is the most attended domestic sports league in the world per capita. It's made up of 18 teams across the country.
The AFLW is the women's competition, formed in 2017 and growing rapidly ever since.
Righto, let's talk some basics. On game day, 2 teams play each other on a field shaped like an oval. A starting lineup consists of defenders, midfielders, and forwards.
You gotta be fit to play this sport. Players can move anywhere on the ground and perform any role during the game. Games are split into 4 quarters, with time added for stoppages in play. And the game starts with players from both teams fighting for possession of the ball.
We are away, and Grundy out the back was able to get it to Pendlebury.
The aim is to move the ball down the field and score. This is done in one of 3 ways. You can't throw the ball, but you can use your fist to punch the ball out of your hands. That's a handball. You can run with the ball, but don't forget to bounce it every 15 metres.
Penny! Oh, he's in a good spot. Penny with a bounce. Here's the moment. Penny with a second bounce.
And finally, you can kick the ball. No. Yeah, that's better.
Trelaw kicks it beautifully. Look at that ball.
Players try to catch the ball after it's been kicked at least 15 metres. This is called a mark. Fun fact, you can use your opponent as a stepladder and take what's called a specky. Wait, that's legal? After a mark, you can choose to play on, or you can stop and take an unobstructed kick.
To score, the idea is to kick the ball between the 2 large upright posts.
There's the target. And that's right on line.
That's a goal.
Magnificent.
That's 6 points.
By the way, you can also kick goals like this, or even this. No way!
Still with Martin. Can he kick a 4? Oh, he has.
Hit the post, or put it between the big posts and the outer lower post. How do you miss that? That's worth 1 point. We call that a behind. After a goal is scored, the ball goes back to the centre square and the action starts again.
Surely not another one. Handball to Oliver. Streaming through. Bang! Bang, bang, bang!
So, how do you get the ball back from your opponents? You can spoil, bump, smother, and tackle. Is it true they don't wear pads?
And bang!
Once tackled, your opponent must correctly dispose of the ball. Yeah, nah, not like that. If they don't, and have had prior opportunity to do so,
On the footy!
this is called holding the ball, and you get a free kick. When the final siren sounds, the team with the most points wins. Come on!
What an upset!
A final scoreline can look confusing, but it's actually pretty simple. Start with the goals, these are worth 6, remember? Add your behinds, and that's your total score.
Before we go, let's take a quick look at how the professional seasons work.
In the women's competition, the top teams play off in a knockout final series, culminating in a grand final played at the highest ranking team's home ground.
In the men's league, teams fight it out for 22 home and away games. And after that, the top 8 teams make the finals. One by one, teams get knocked out until 2 remain, ready to face off in the grand final. It's the decider for the biggest prize in footy, the Premiership Cup. Played at the MCG in front of, hold up, this can't be right, 100,000 fans. You beauty.
What a game of footy!
And that's pretty much it, your quick guide to Aussie rules football. So, this is us. What do you reckon? Because personally, we think it's the best live game going round.
But don't take our word for it. Grab your scarf and come see for yourself. You're gonna love it.
So I hope that was a good finish to talk about email. I don't know how that came in there. A bit different to baseball. So I've got time for some questions if anybody's got any, or I'm around for the next couple of days. Awesome. Thank you.